G'day, welcome to the One Tower Teachers Training week number 2, where we talk about guard, the guard in Wing Chun. Now, the theory of the guard is obviously, how you put your hands up. You see a lot of martial arts, they do different ways, like the old school, different ways of using your hands. So in week 1, we talked about the stance, what you do with your feet, what you do with your legs. This week we talk about the stance, the guard. So, important things to remember about the guard. What is the guard? How do we use it? So what we do is we put our hands on the hips and then we raise it up to about a 90-degree angle. Now, the key in here is having a 90-degree angle. You don't want to have it too short because that leaves less space. Imagine like a spring, less space in here for you to actually defend, and it reduces the angle in here, makes it, I guess, on a structural point of view, weaker. But then in an energetic one, once you go to the energy side and you fill it with state, then we would be having a different conversation. But this is week 2. And you don't want it too far out because then it's a wider angle. You've got more chance of being pulled. And then in here, you've got more chance of it just, you're hitting yourself before someone hits you next. So that's probably not the ideal situation. So, you're in your stance. So just go and recap from last week. Feet together, earth, tail, crown, hips forward, feet, toes, heels, here. Now, what do I do with my hands? Put your hands on your hips, raise them up to a guard. Now, you don't cross over. You don't keep them wide, but you keep them essentially triangulated with your fingers pointing to the point here, like a triangle, and you essentially want them to be able to cover the lines of attack. So in Wing Chun, we've got, say, like a Tam Sao, and then you go up to Bong Sao, right? So essentially, you want to be able to keep your guard on your center. The center line, the power plane is very important in our art. And you don't want to be holding your shoulders and holding your weight up in there. You need to earth, tail, crown, tool, tai gong, and let them sink. And then keep that 90-degree angle. And then you can move it to defend. So in our art, we've got a Dai Sao and then a Chit Sao. Now, keeping those, essentially those are all the angles. So with this angle of the 90 degrees, you're essentially covering all ranges of attack down to sort of your mid-length, and then you've got your knee and your legs to sort of cover further down. But we'll stick to the guard. So, and also you want to keep your fingers and everything targeted forward. So in your guard, it's elbows supporting the wrists, supporting the fingers, all pointing forward. You don't want to have your fingers and your hands wide because then someone can grab them and break them and hurt you, so you want to keep them targeted. This also then transitions into the third form, being Bill G, with thrusting fingers. So again, you might as well start training with correct technique when you first start, because technique is important, and then doing it slowly, because slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and that's in a way how you transition through the first 3 forms, Sulam Tao and Chum Q. Generally slower forms, and then your Bill G, thrusting fingers, is a fast form. So you've got your guard, and then when you're up here, you can have a triangulation guard here. So that's when you start. If you're in say a street fight, for example, you probably want to have your guards more open like that. So hey, my first recommendation is no, hey, not interested, don't want to fight. This gives you a range of options where you can go into a palm strike, those sorts of things. But essentially, we're just looking at how you train the guard in the art, so you can develop and you can practice in the art. So triangulation. Now, when we're with the guard, you can then take the position where one comes back, and you have one closer to you and one further forward. And what you want to do is you want to have this hand here, the back hand, higher than the elbow on this side. The reason why is if it's lower and this gets pushed back, you're kind of stuck with movement. Whereas if this one gets pushed back, what we have in Wing Chun is the chain punch. So that can easily come down over here. You can come down to a Wuuuuuu if this one gets pushed back because the incoming force is greater than the power going forward. And yeah, so you want to have essentially one back and this one a bit higher than the elbow of the opposite hand. You can choose whatever hand works for you. At the end of the day, chain punching, it's a multiple attack. Wing Chun is a martial art where you can simultaneously defend and attack at the same time, using both limbs or all limbs, and eventually the aim is to just crush through whatever is in the way in order to hit your target. And if that is too much force, then your shapes, make your shapes beautiful, as we say, will then move and adjust depending on that. So back to your guard. So you've got your guard here. It's not crossed over like that, because also if it's crossed over and this hand comes back, that traps your other hand, so you ain't got, or you just probably pick your nose or scratch your armpit with that back hand and whilst you're getting punched. So you need to have them on the centre line but not crossing over. This also gives you a range of attack, covers both sides of movement, and then also helps with the chain punch here. What else is important about the guard? It's not forceful, you're not forcing it, you are relaxed and focused with intent. The state is a critical part of One Tao Kung Fu, One Tao Wing Chun. Yeah, we'll go into a couple of exercises. Exercise number 1. So for your guard, it's similar to the first exercise of the stance. So if you've got a training partner, use them to mirror. So you would shadow box or shadow train with your partner, where your partner would move around like this. Ideally moving forward, moving backwards, so that you get the training and the practice of coming forward. So they would move backwards and you would follow them around. But if you're training by yourself, don't let not having a partner stop you from cultivating your internal condition, cultivating the Kung Fu. So what you can do is in your stance, and you can practice pivoting with your stance, practice coming forward with your stance, like we practiced in the previous one. You can practice with your guard up like this, and just practice integrating the state, earth, tail, crown, relaxed, focused, intention. You can check out some of the other videos on the state and different elements which make up the state in other videos. And you can also practice and train with us online in a really, really cool community filled with amazing humans on school. And you can check out that link at the bottom of this video. Now what you can do, so this is the one, this is essentially the one, just keeping your guard, practicing keeping your guard up. You can change your hand over, around. You don't want to be coming underneath, because that's not how you do the chain punch. But if you come underneath, you take it, you sort of remove your ability to come forward. But it also, the way we train the chain punch is it comes over and then comes down and then clears. So that clears, this movement here clears the pathway of another arm in the front for your chain punch to come over top. So when you work in the guard, you can still practice your chain punch in there, coming back, keeping your guard in beautiful shapes, 90-degree angle, relaxed, moving. And so that was one practical exercise. Number 2. So then what you can do is, again, pretend that you're shadow boxing. So moving around, adjust, pivot, focus, forward, step forward, move your guard. If you've got a training partner, if you're doing it by yourself, you can practice touching a wall, or if you've got a mook, you can practice touching the mook, and just keeping your guard in place while making contact with something externally to train how your condition is under that pressure testing. But then if you're training if you've got a partner, what they can do is you can train around like this, and then the person that you're following can then push your arm. So imagine it would be like here, and then you can test that coming in, right? So what you don't want to have happen is have that pressure come in and that flop. That means you've got no intention and no forward focus in your arms. You're just kind of out there. What's going on? What's going on? Hey, yo, what's up? Bang, and you get hit, right? You don't want to be too far forward like this, walk around like you're doing this, because then you can get pulled forward and latched, and obviously your fingers and whatnot can be used as leverage against you. So again, state-filled movements. And then what you can do is an extra step, so there you can get them to push to see how that works. You can get them to push up high to see how that works. You can get them to push your elbow to see how that force translates into your shoulder and down to the ground, or where it gets stuck, and provides you an opportunity to release. And then they can also then pull you. All right, so you can be walking along, and then they can pull you, and you can see how your structure and your state manifests under those conditions. So that's two lost for words. Practical applications. Two practical applications. Probably because it was alliteration there. Is it alliteration? P and P? Who knows? This is not an English lesson. From a Kiwi bro. So that's something you can practice. Don't let not having a training partner stop you from cultivating your Kung Fu. As Grandmaster Chu Shong Ting has been known to say that he found joy in Sulam Tao. So the fact of the matter is, if you're watching this, it means you're showing up for yourself. And good on you, and well done, and keep it up. So peace, love and Kung Fu. Thanks very much for watching week number 2, being guard. That's not going to work, is it?